Welcome back. My name is Mark with MotionBolt.com, and I'm excited to share with you a couple of the latest backgrounds that I've been working on. Also, before we get started though, I'm excited to share with you, we have our very first MotionBolt.com t-shirt with the new logo and MotionBolt.com. So I'm really excited about it. It looks great. The sad part is I don't have these for sale. I know you guys are all wanting them, but that's okay. Maybe eventually I'll open up an online store. When everyone subscribes to this and we reach 42 million subscribers like Mr. Beast, then we can start talking about some merch. But until then, I'm the only one keeping this t-shirt on. By the way, it's still 28 degrees up here. That's why I do have this green jacket on, as well as a couple heaters, so hence the room noise a little bit. So hopefully you guys can excuse that. I am going to keep this on because it is freezing up here, which reminds me, I'm going to try to move along as quickly as possible. So thanks for joining us, and let's dive in. Alright, the first background we're going to take a look at was called Green Christmas. And this features some particles with 3 green Christmas trees down here with a huge Merry Christmas below that. I know we're already past Christmas, but hey, I didn't get a chance to do this earlier, so we're just going to quickly buzz through this, then get on to some new backgrounds here. So, to start off this, let's go ahead and turn off these layers here, and we'll just build this piece by piece. Start off with a green background here. I put a gradient ramp on there. The second thing was I added a textured background here. Green stripes, overlaid it there. And then the key to this was going over to Photoshop here. If you create a new layer here, which we can do that now, and then you grab the shape tool over here, and then I have this Christmas tree right here as a shape, so you just click and drag, and it gives you that shape of a Christmas tree right there, so we could move it over. Now, what's important here is we wanted all the points of this Christmas tree so we can copy them over and use them as a shape mask over in After Effects, because we're going to use the Saver plugin. So if we grab the selection tool here, we're going to highlight that. We're going to copy and paste those little points of interest there. Then we come over to After Effects. We can simply paste that onto a new layer here, which I've already done that. But just for kicks though, I'll show you how that's done. New solid, and we can call this tree. Click OK. And then with those points selected over in Photoshop, we're just going to go ahead and click paste. Now we have our tree here. So we're going to make that just a little bit bigger here. And that looks pretty good. So then, once we add our effects, we're going to go down to Effects, Video Copilot, Saber. And then the key here was under Custom Core, changing that to Layer Mask. And that's how you get that general background there. And then if you go down to Render Settings, and then switch the composite to Transparent, you can see how, fooling around with that a little bit, you get those colors. So I changed the color to a green here. So since I've already done that, I'm going to turn off that layer for now and turn on my trees here. There's my center tree. So following that same technique, I just dropped in 3 trees down below, text layer, and then a Merry Christmas glow layer right there. Just added that just to kind of make it look a little bit better. And then added my snow, which was using Trapcode Particular, blended that in nicely, and then add an adjustment layer, just kind of blur some of the outside, so it brings the focus back in nicely. Alright, the second background we're going to take a look at is audio form, and I actually did get a couple questions to make more of these. Some people on the channel, I only had 2 audio waveform spectrums, and so they asked me to make one, so I had some extra time and decided to do a really cool one here. So I want to dive into how I made this and a couple other things here. Alright, so in order to do the audio form in After Effects, you need some sort of audio clip to work with. You want something with some drums, some beats that go up and down, so that way you get those dynamic range frequency bars. So I got my audio track. I have dragged that down into the comp here, which I've already done that, so it's there. And now we can go ahead and create the audio bars. Alright, so I created a new layer in After Effects here. We're going to go up to Effects, Generate, Audio Waveform. We'll click on that, and since I've already done that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and we'll just run through a couple of the settings here. First of all, we selected an audio track, which was number 6 down here, audio track. So that gave us the basis of our preview down there. Then also, if I didn't have a mask, say we turned off the mask, it would just be straight across like this. So I rotated it, but I wanted to be in a circle, so I created a mask using the mask tool up here, the ellipse tool. I'll just put that back for now since I already did that. And we're going to just change that to mask 1. That's how we got the circular pattern there. This is pretty basic here. Start frequencies. You can change how wide those bars come up and down. And once again, I don't like doing tutorials on exactly like the whole plugin in After Effects. I kind of like just showing what I did in order to create the background. So feel free to fool around with that in After Effects. I changed the colors up there. One of the main options down here was display options. I did digital. They have lots of cool options there. I actually did 2 versions of this, so I'll show you guys that in just a second here. And then I did side B, which is the outside of the circle. You could do an inner circle one, which I went ahead and duplicated that actually. And then under this version of it, I changed it to analog dots instead of the digital. And then instead of side B, I changed it to side A, so they shoot inwards. So the bars go outwards, the little dots go inwards, and it just creates a little bit more of a cool look there. Alright, I like doing a depth of field, so I added a blur layer on the top part of that and then feathered it out. And then finally, I added a drop floor in the background here. I went ahead and angled the floor. If I zoom out a little bit, I angled the floor to where it would match the angle of the audio spectrum to kind of make it look like the audio spectrum was laying on the floor. Added a drop shadow to it, and so it got this really cool look right there. I was really happy with how that turned out. You guys can download that. It's under the creative menu option on motionbolt.com, so feel free to download that. There's like now 3 audio spectrums there. I will definitely be doing more of these, so keep checking back for that. This one is called Orange Twist, and you might be surprised, but we start off with just a gradient background using a gradient ramp, solid, did with dark orange outside with a fade to a medium orange on the inside, gives that nice look there. The next thing we're going to do is turn off that, and we are going to import this picture here. Okay, so after the background, I've got this image I've dragged in of some broken glass. The first thing that we're going to do is change the transfer mode over to overlay, and then we're going to drop the opacity down to about 20% here. Alright, that looks pretty nice. Now the key to this thing here was adding the Turbulent Displace, which I've already got turned off. I'm going to turn that on and we'll just go through some of the settings here. The first thing that we're going to look at is the turbulent settings themselves. So it's set to a vertical displace at the moment. That gives it that up and down motion there. The amount I cranked up to -276 there, and in the size I left it to 100. Then all I did was add a little animation on the evolution there. Alright, it goes up to 2, so what that does, it just moves it along nicely there. And that looks pretty good, the way it kind of flows up and down. It looks like just V's cutting up and down. It looks really nice. Alright, then we added an adjustment layer here. This is my blur, Gaussian blur with a mask in the middle that kind of fades out. And then just a couple particles in here just to add just a little bit more motion to the shot. Alright, and that's basically how that one was done there. So keep in mind, this was all created just from this one image right here. If I were to just go back to that. You just gotta have a vision for what you think you can do with the image there. If I put that back to normal, just some broken glass, what can you do with that? Well, in After Effects, almost basically anything. We turn that on, and then we turn on Turbulent Displace, and there we go. We've got a cool background right there. So that was how Orange Twist was made. Alright, and the last one we're going to look at is Fighting Particles. This one turned out very cool. Hope you guys like it here. It looks very neat. We'll get to how we did this here. Alright, so who would have guessed? We started off with the background with another gradient ramp. So this time we put the gradient ramp on top. If I were to select that, you can see I pushed it way up top, so I moved that light to where it fades brighter at the top there, darker blue at the bottom. Next, we need to create some particles. So we used Trapcode Particular, added some particles on there, dropped the velocity down to 75%. And then the key here, I think I did, yes, I did a box. I didn't want them to spring everywhere. I wanted to keep them mostly in the middle. So I kind of kept them condensed there. Increased the emitter size Z and X, but I kept the Y with its beginning number right there. Life per second, I kept at 7. Sphere, 50%. Size, I kept at 5. Size random, 100%, just to give it a little bit more organic look there. And then I fade them out. That's pretty basic. There's nothing too crazy about those particles there. I also duplicated that, changed the seed up, and then I added a bunch of small particles in there. So if I were to take off the big ones there, that's what that looked like. Just to give it a little bit more density in the middle. Next, I want to add some particles with flare. So this turned out pretty cool. Here's how you can do that. You can either buy the Star Glow plugin from Trapcode Particular, which will cost you a good bit now, or which will do a lot more than this. Or if you want to create something similar to that, you can duplicate your particle layers and simply drop on a Gaussian blur and then rotate the angle. So this one here's got a blur direction, just normal. I duplicated that same set of particles, then I rotated that 90 degrees. And what that'll do is it'll give you like those nice little horizontal cross stardust type particles there, which just adds a little bit more excitement to it. Nothing crazy. Next, we added in a textured layer in the background just to give it some depth and some texture there. And then using Video Copilot's optical flares, I picked out a nice one on either side, duplicated it, then animated it. So just a couple settings for, let's just look at the right light. They're exactly the same, just opposite of each other. Using optical flares, brightness 75. I did animate the evolutions, that way they get a little bit brighter and then dimmer. And then also I played with the flicker and the amount of the speed right there. So 10 and 10. And that makes it pulsate a little bit nicer, which does that. As I like doing, I took the comp, duplicated it, brought it over into comp 2, added a slight Gaussian blur to it, and then set it to overlay. So if I were to show you the original here, it's normal. Then I like to overlay it. I know you can add that with curves. I like doing this because I like the blur on there a little bit. Just makes it look a little more glossy. I like that look. And I might have dropped the opacity down 50%. Yeah, you could really crank that up if you wanted to and really get that nice look. That still looks pretty nice there, but I didn't like how much it crushed the lights there. So, I mean, we could even leave it at 65% and that still looks pretty nice. But that is Fighting Particles. Alright, so if we take a look at the website here, where can you download the 5 backgrounds we just took a look at here? If you go on the home page, you'll see a couple of them there. We've got the audio waveform spectrum there, we got the vertical lines, then we got the Fighting Particle ones there. If you go up here under More, you can go to Creative, and also you can see a couple more backgrounds on there. These are under Creative, they're kind of like just the oddball ones. They're ones that you get a crazy idea with and you run with, and you just see what happens with it. The other ones are going to be under Light Burst here. There's that one there. And then probably under Abstract, you'll see a couple of those. The Christmas ones that we did at the very beginning are under Christmas, obviously. And if you scroll down, you can see all those Christmas backgrounds. Even though it is past Christmas time, I do leave these up all year round, just in case. People use candles for different ceremonies, different things. So you can check out the website to find the latest motion backgrounds. Now, since you're watching this, I will be posting a brand new motion background probably in the next 2 or 3 days. So, here's a sneak peek of it here. Nothing too crazy. Called Watery Floor. And I was trying to simulate the floor of a pool. I had animated the evolution of the squares down there, but the more I started looking at it, the more it looked like it was just like a very low resolution image, and it just looked like it was all pixelated and digital. So I took off the animation of the squares, then had the particles flow outwards. Then also I rotated everything to where it looks like you're moving along the floor of the pool a little bit as it comes closer to you. So be sure to look for this one. This one should be getting posted very soon. Very cool motion background that comes in 4K and HD resolutions. Alright, and as always, if you have not subscribed to motionbolt.com, I encourage you to do that. I add new backgrounds as much as I can. I answer questions. I love being here as a resource. So if you are looking for high quality motion backgrounds for your YouTube channel, your ads that you're doing on your website, church services, music videos, doesn't matter, live concerts, just anything you want to use motion backgrounds for, they're here for you. So be sure to subscribe so that way you don't miss out on anything. Thank you so much for watching this. It means a lot, and I really appreciate everyone who subscribed and checks out the videos and sends positive comments. I really love that. Feel free to send me emails with the projects you guys are working on. Once again, thanks for watching. See you next time.